In today's episode, I'm just doing some workshop repairs and modifications. So today I'm going to improve my winch system I've got here, because I'm going to butcher a lamb in a day's time. So here's my cool room that I hang the lamb carcass in for a couple of days while it sets before you cut it up. So previously I used this winch on the wall. It's a bit wobbly, as you can see, so it goes up over to a hook over here. Because I've got a bad back, I use it to winch the lamb up so I can dress the carcass ready for hanging. So it's just a standard boat winch on the wall here. So what we're going to do is build a better mounting system. So here we go. So doing all the measuring and cutting up of my steel ready for welding. So we just, as you notice, I've got earplugs in because I've got very little hearing as it is. So just tacking the frame up here at the moment, so getting it all ready. So just tack it all up before you weld it solidly. Now we remove the winch off the wall so we can actually mount the frame up. So my time lapse is a little bit fast here. I was only just learning to use my camera, so it's a little bit quicker than I would have liked. But anyway, you get the idea of a super high speed worker here, which I'm nowhere near that fast in real life. So just mounting the winch up. So I'll go back to normal speed here, and as you can see, it's much stronger now, so it doesn't wobble around at all. So it's a lot easier and a lot safer to winch anything up. As I say, I'm going to be winching up a lamb to be dressed, ready for hanging. So you hang it in the cool room for a couple of days there, just to left of screen. And that's that on that one. So it's just some simple basic welding and fabrication there that I like to do from time to time. So moving on to my next one, where this is my little trailer that I built from a wool cart. So as you can see, one of the little tie down supports that I've welded on previously has snapped. So we're going to weld him back on. So we'll remove the chainsaw from the area that has petrol in it. So you don't want to be welding beside a petrol filled chainsaw creating sparks, because as we know, petrol's explosive. So this is just a little trailer I've made from scrap, but only thing it cost me is a bit of plywood, which as you can see is bits and pieces which was left over. So really it cost me nothing, this trailer. I go to a recycling yard from time to time and just grab bits of metal. So here we go, going to weld him on there to make him strong, because as you know, there's little eye hooks there, so you can actually put a little strap around that to hold things down on the cart, and that just hooks onto my mower, and I drive it around the paddock doing fencing or taking feed out to the sheep and that sort of thing. So it's a very basic little cart, but very functional. So it's full of fencing gear there at the moment. You've got your star picket driver, there's a star picket puller across the back there, and screws and all sorts of stuff in there. I'll do an episode later on a bit of fencing repair for anyone that has to repair a barbed wire fence or anything like that. Can be very handy. So, but I use a stick welder, as you can see, because you don't require any gas for a stick welder. It's a little bit harder to use than a MIG or MIG, but with a stick welder, if your weld looks good, it is good. As where a MIG, if your weld looks good, it may not be good because it may not have been hot enough and may not have melted in the metal properly. So finished with that and having a bit more fun. This is my son's bike, and his seat let go the other day, so as you can see the seat's right back and sitting at an awkward angle because the bolts that I've just putting the spanner on now have come loose, and it's let the seat slide back. So that's on most bike seats. You can actually adjust its position forward, backwards, and tilt up and down. So it's a very simple thing to put it back to where it belongs. So we're just loosening that up, going to slide it forward there, back to where it should be, and get it to the right angle, and we're going to do it back up, so then she's ready to ride. So it's just a standard little mountain bike my son likes to ride. So he gives it a bit of a hard time, but then so does most 10-year-olds give their give their equipment a bit of a hard time. So yeah, these videos I'm going to do is anything from maintenance of a push bike, as you can see here now, to welding, to cooking. I'm going to do my next video will probably be me cleaning out the glass house ready for planting my winter veg, because it gets down to -7, -8 where I am. So I plant my vegetables in pots in a glass house over winter, so I still have some veggies. So here we are. Here we're going to adjust the rear brake because it's not working properly, so I'm winding in all the adjustments. So here we are, we're zooming in, having a look at the front brake there. So there's a little adjustment there we wind in, so all the cables are back in as far as I go before we physically adjust the cable back. So you can see the little adjuster was right in. Now I've got the same adjuster at the back here, so if your kid's bike's got no brakes or very little brakes, this is a simple thing you can do to fix this up. So if you have a look, it's a cable operated brake, so we just wind this adjuster back in. It's exactly the same as the one on the handlebar we wound in before. So now the cable is very slack, so it's all ready to go. So now there's an Allen key there, and I'm going to get there to loosen the clamp that holds the actual brake cable. So we'll loosen that up. So that's the Allen key there. So we'll put that in there, and we'll take the pressure off the brake cable so we can slide it through to pull up the slack that's come just from wear and tear from the bike. So here we go, we squeeze it in. Hang on, we get someone to hold the bike. If you haven't got a bike holder, I've conveniently got one, which should appear here any second. There we go, the bike holder, James. Right out, so here we go here. We're just going to pull that slack up, so you squeeze it closed with your hand and then pull the cable with your right hand. And now while it's nice and firm, we do that. We'll do that again. So we pull that up tight, and now we get the Allen key to do that clamp up tight again, so that it holds the brake cable in spot, and you've got a lot more grasp on the brake disc, so it works nice and solid again. So do him up nice and tight, because kids, well, most people like to pull hard on that brake pedal if they're running towards something they shouldn't. So we'll tighten him right up there, and then we just, once we've got that, so it's a bit bird that one, so got him all tightened up, and we'll just go over all the adjustments. Now first of all, we go and check and feel how the brake pedal feels, the brake lever. So it should have nice tension against it. So there we go, we can skid the back wheel again, which I'm sure my boy, there's the adjuster at the front. So it's all wound all the way in at the moment because we've pulled up all the tension and the one at the back's wound in. So we just snig up, there's a little lock nut there. We're just going to put a little bit of turn on that lock nut so it doesn't come loose. And the one on the handlebar you do by finger tight, so there's a little lock nut on the handlebar as well. So we've got the seat all fixed, got the brakes all fixed. She's ready to roll, so better hand it back to the customer for him to go and do some more skids in the paddock. Happy customer.